After that, I'm not quite sure what to say, but thank you very much, Doug, and thank you to the Blair County Sports Hall of Fame, Dave, Neil, everyone up here and out there. It's really, I'm very, very flattered, and thank you so much. As I thought about this speech during a recent vacation trip to the coast of Mexico, there were two related subjects that stood out in my mind. The passing of the 10-year anniversary since my mother's untimely death, and how I came to have the tremendous good fortune of being able to play the terrific sport of tennis all over the world. During the Mexican trip, I was hitting worn-out tennis balls with my 9-year-old son, Maurice, on dilapidated courts with swirling winds and the blazing sun of this scenic coastal town, and it reminded me of all of the other exciting places where I've been fortunate enough to play the game of tennis. As we struggled to adjust to those conditions in Mexico, it brought me back to my roots playing tennis here in Altoona. As a child, I played many hours in the wind and sun of the Mansion Park and other local tennis courts. I also recall the first so-called indoor court at the Armory where the basketball backboards prevented us from serving in the middle of the baseline. From these conditions, I was fortunate enough to develop the fundamental, mental, and physical skills to address all sorts of conditions. Those skills helped me to compete in and/or coach tennis throughout Asia, Europe, New Zealand, and Africa, due in no small parts to the efforts of my close friend and presenter, Doug McCurdy, who's really the ultimate in developing tennis and a tennis ambassador throughout the world. I've spent countless hours feeding tennis balls to students, drilling and playing the fringes of the pro circuit in numerous interesting parts of the world. Through tennis travel, I learned to say, please pick up the tennis balls in 5 different languages. I managed to scrape out a couple of ATP computer points, that's how you're rated on the pro circuit, and hopefully picked up a cultural sensitivity and understanding that can be so valuable in this world with ever decreasing borders. Tennis has not only been a great source of fulfillment through these travels, but it also led me to pick up the sport of squash. I realize that most of you have probably never seen a squash court, but it is a racket sport played in a room about the size of a racquetball court with a relatively small dead rubber ball and a racket that is a cross between a badminton racket and a tennis racket. It requires really tremendous stamina at the very upper levels, and like tennis, has suited me well in rewarding hand-eye coordination, conditioning, and just one-on-one competitiveness. It was in college where I began playing squash, and while I have not played in recent years, it really has been a significant source of joy and achievement for me. Of course, athletic achievements are one thing, and that is what we're celebrating here this evening. But for most people, they mean so much more when they contribute to academic and professional endeavors that many of us pursue. For me, many hours hitting on the backboard, serving grocery carts full of tennis balls, running the steps at Mansion Park Stadium, jumping rope, and sprinting many, many shuttles on a squash court were certainly the foundation of the work ethic that helped me spend those many extra hours studying in the Williams College and Cornell Law School libraries. Those hours of study lead me back to the other subject that I was thinking a lot about in Mexico, my wonderful mother. My mother had a vibrant mind that led her to receiving a master's degree at Penn State while raising her children, and later a PhD at Indiana University of Pennsylvania. She wrote her PhD thesis on how young children learn, and she indefatigably sought the best for us, her children, especially when it came to our education. I'm not sure that I would have spent all those hours in the library if she had not helped me appreciate the joy of reading and learning. One summer, she even made me read 5 books for every tennis tournament that I played. And I wasn't at all happy about that. But I certainly and truly thank her now. My mother, like my father, was the child of immigrants from the former Soviet Union who made their way to America and eventually Altoona with little or nothing to their names. While the families were fairly different, they both had a very strong appreciation of learning. At Altoona High School, my mother somehow fell in love with, and I'm really still trying to figure it out, my father. For those of you who know my father, you will probably know him as a person with an irrepressible and earthy sense of humor. As his son, I also know and dearly love that side of him, but I know him even better as an enormous source of love and support, not only for me, but also for my mother, brother, sister, and larger family. My father was always there to play tennis with me in the evenings, on the weekends, and he has unflinchingly provided the financial and emotional support for each one in our family to pursue our various paths. He has done so with a sense of perspective on what really matters, and together with my mother, has set a standard for all of us to follow. And speaking of my family, I also want to thank my brother and sister Terry, both of whom are here tonight, and who over the years have each had to put up with a fair amount from me, that's for sure. They have been great, and I love them and thank them. I also want to express my appreciation to the close family friends in this community with whom I grew up, many of whom are here this evening. In addition, I want to mention the late Herb Ferris, the longtime local tennis teaching pro, my first coach, and my coach on the Altoona High School tennis team. He was instrumental in teaching me the fundamentals of tennis and an accompanying and rigorous work ethic. And just as Doug left the best for last, so will I. I really want to thank my wife, Betsy, who was a childhood professional ballet dancer and later a classical singer, has taught me much about athleticism and poise in settings such as these. It is a real treat for me to be able to share this occasion with her and our terrific little son, Maurice, both of whom continue to tolerate my passion for tennis and just about any other type of sport around. Thanks so much to you, my father, sister, brother, Doug, everyone up here, and all of you out there. It's really a flattering honor this evening. Thank you very much.